Revolutionary greetings, comrades. The remains of one of the greatest sons in Africa, Patrice Lumumba, were buried in Democratic Republic of Congo. Years after his death, you remember that Patrice Lumumba was assassinated by the CIA. So I want to do a brief discussion on Patrice Lumumba. This was requested by our comrades in the Zimbabwe Communist Party. So we thought it is important that we do a brief discussion on the life of Patrice Lumumba. I am Mobutu Nicholas Mapena. Please like this video, comrades. Circulate to other study groups. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Patrice Lumumba said, I quote, "The essential wish of the Congolese elite is to be Belgians and to have the right to the same freedoms and the same rights," close quote. He said these words in 1956. He was born in 1925 in a small Batatela tribe in Kisai province. Even though Patrice Lumumba had spent 4 years at a primary school and 1 year of technical training at a school for postal clerks, he was highly intelligent. He worked as a postal clerk in Stellyville, which is Kisangani today, where he edited the Journal of the Postal Workers Union and contributed articles to other journals and newspapers. In 1957, he moved to the capital, Leopoldville, which is now Kinshasa, where he worked as a salesman for a local brewery. His political activity began to grow in Leopoldville after Ghana gained her independence in 1957. But the first initiative came from a tribal organization, that is the political initiative, mobilizing the mass of the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo today. It came from Abaco, originally founded by Bakongo leaders to promote use of the Kikongo language, but began to make political demands. So you had this tribe known as Bakongo, which wanted to preserve its culture and the language. It then began to mobilize mobilize the tribe around the preserving of its language and the culture, and then it went beyond that to demand political demands, to make political demands. Aboko's leader, Joseph Kasavubu, who of course later on became president when Lumumba became prime minister, who had once trained as a priest, set his sights on reuniting the Bakongo people, divided by the boundaries of the Belgium Congo, the French Congo, and Angola, and rebuilding the old Bakongo kingdom that had flourished in the 16th century. When we talk of the French Congo, we talk of Congo Brazzaville. You know that a friend of mine was telling me that if you're in Congo Brazzaville, in the difficulty of crossing the river, people just fly. They would put weather, goats, hens inside the plane and simply cross the Congo, the river. So it is not far. That's Congo Brazzaville, which was called French Congo, and then Belgium Congo, which is today Democratic Republic of Congo. And some of the tribe, people of this tribe were in Angola. So Joseph Kasavubu wanted to unite this tribe. We always say, when we talk of the reunion agenda in building unity in Africa, to say, let's engage in this debate on the reunion agenda, which we'll talk to some other time. We have said in the past that people are divided by these colonial boundaries. So you'll find people of the same tribe in different countries, like in this case, they were in the 3 different countries. Of course, Patrice Lumumba chose a different path. He did not mobilize society along ethnic lines. He chose what we are always accused of, that we should not be nationalist, but again, it's a discussion for another day. So Patrice Lumumba, in 1958, he joined other young Congolese to launch the movement National Congolese, MNC, to rally support on a national basis. So he understood that the problems in Congo then were not problems that were peculiar or affecting one tribe, but he saw the problems as national. Hence, he had to join a nationalist movement to organize society at a national level. Lumumba attended the All African People's Conference in Ghana in 1958. He was inspired by Kwame Nkrumah and sought to build the party that he was a member of, that he led, MNC, as a mass political movement alongside the lines of Nkrumah's CPP. After the riots in the capital in January 1959, as a result of high unemployment, overcrowding, and discrimination, the Belgium announced a program of political reforms. If you're starting in most African states, when the colonizers feel that they are about to lose power, when a revolution is about to occur, they will then facilitate a dialogue amongst themselves and the nationalist movement as part of reforming the system. Reforming, not to overthrow, but to reform the system so that they are accommodated in the new dispensation. This is what happens or happened in a number of African countries. We have spoken, I think, in the past about the Lancaster House. We've spoken about CODESA in South Africa and in other countries. This is what also happened in Belgium, Congo. Lumumba, of course, should be noted that Lumumba had enemies inside his party who thought his demands were extreme during election campaign. They tried to remove him, but failed. When they failed, they then split and they formed another movement. So the issue of splitting in the liberation movement is not only, or did not only happen to ZAPU in 1963, which we're discussing on Joshua Nkomo Day, when we're remembering Dr. Joshua Nkomo, or Noro, was it only within the ANC when the PAC split in 1958? It has its footprints across the continent, and then happened in Congo in 1959. Belgium convened a conference as part of reforming the system to managing transition from colonialists to usher in what we call majority rule. They to convene a conference in Brussels in January 1960 to discuss the terms of independence. Like we participated in the Lancaster House conference in London in 1979. So in Congo as well, Belgium convened a conference in Brussels in 1960 to discuss the terms of independence. Quite a number of representatives of political parties attended the conference, including Patrice Lumumba. Belgium proposed a 4-year transition period to independence. So they wanted to manage the transition, to say you needed to go through various stages, which was going to take about 4 years to agree to follow a particular program so that you then transfer power from the colonialist Belgium to the people of Congo. But the delegates drawn from different political formations in Congo rejected this, including Lumumba. What they were proposing or demanding was that independence was to be declared on the 1st of June 1960. But of course, there were compromises on that. So the political leadership in Congo had to compromise for 30 days. They were prepared to say, well, for 30 days we can compromise. Hence, the independence was then declared on the 30th of June 1960. Of course, the elections were highly contested. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, there's no party that won an absolute majority in the election. So, but of course, the party led by Patrice Lumumba had more numbers. He was able to speak to other smaller parties and formed a coalition government which consisted of about 12 political parties. But in the build-up, in between the elections and the formation of the coalition government, Belgium was resisting to have Patrice Lumumba in leading the coalition. But when Patrice Lumumba had spoken to smaller parties and gained more numbers in the House of Assembly, he was then mandated, or the Belgian authorities agreed that he was to form a government. So Lumumba became prime minister of an independent Congo. The riots that had happened, which had forced Belgium to convene a Brussels conference, which were happening across the cities in Congo, did not stop after independence. They continued these riots that were happening. Part of the problem of these riots, as pointed out by Patrice Lumumba at the time, was that Belgium was fomenting violence. They were promoting rebellion within the armed forces of the Congo, because they were opposed to Patrice Lumumba taking over. So they wanted to destabilize the government of Patrice Lumumba. Because of the instability in the military. This is where the mistake happened. But of course, it happened because Patrice Lumumba was not a prophet, a political prophet. I'm not sure if they are political prophet. Of course, there's one that I will concede that indeed he was a political prophet. Remember, Fidel Castro said the United States was going to talk to Cuba once there was a black president in the United States, and I think it said a Pope from Argentina. I'm not sure on the Pope. I speak under correction, but indeed, when Barack Obama became president in the United States, the United States began to speak to the Cuban government and the people of Cuba. So I consider Fidel Castro as a political prophet, but Patrice Lumumba was not a political prophet. He did not know what was going to turn out in the future in the in the Congo. Just like the question has been posed or raised, or concerns raised when we're discussing the life and times of Joshua Nkomo, that Dr. Nkomo should not have worked with Robert Mugabe, would not have agreed to have had Robert Mugabe as a secretary of publicity in ZAPU when Mugabe moved from Ghana, where he was teaching, to join the liberation movement in Rhodesia then. And we're saying Dr. Nkomo was not a political prophet, so he did not know what was going to happen. I'm raising this because when there were destabilization and fomenting of trouble within the military in Congo, sponsored, of course, by Belgium, Patrice Lumumba had to remove the military leadership and appointed new military leadership. In this case, he appointed a person that you considered a trusted ally as a chief of staff, a person that was going to be later betray him, not only betray him, but was going to arrange his own assassination. And this man was Mobutu Sese Seko, was appointed as Joseph Mobutu was appointed as chief of staff. Mobutu, at some point, that was in 1956, he was discharged from the military and became a freelance journalist where he was paid as an informer for Belgian police, providing detailed reports on the activities of the Congolese activists. So Mobutu was removed from the army in 1956, becoming a freelance journalist and paid informer for Belgium, reporting his colleagues to the Belgian police, which of course this was not known by the comrades, and Patrice Lumumba was not aware of this, and then he had trust on him and appointed him as a chief of staff. Like I'm saying later on, Joseph Mobutu betrayed Patrice Lumumba. I will not talk about the journalists in politics. No, I will not. But it's a point that one must underline. One has to underline this point that Mobutu worked as a freelance journalist, so he had access to comrades as a journalist in terms of writing, but he was then a paid informer. But after the appointment of Mobutu and others in the military, the mutiny did not stop. Despite these changes in the military, Belgium wanted to send troops, but Lumumba refused, because Belgium was fomenting this violence or this mutiny, trying to regain control of Congo on the pretext of assisting Lumumba. They wanted to regain Congo, but of course Lumumba refused. On the 11th of July, the crisis escalated with the connivance of Belgium and the support of Belgian mining and the commercial firms. The Katanga leader, Moise Tsombe, declared Katanga an independent state. Now, here is a province, Katanga, which then its leader, the leader from that province was Moise Tsombe, with the support of Belgium and the mining firms. He declared that an independent state, and Belgian troops were used to disarm and expel Congo troops from the province. So this is what I'm saying, that Belgium wanted to gain control over Congo, and we know the reasons, because the colonization of Congo was or because of the resources. So Belgium wanted to continue to loot the resources of Congo. Lumumba appealed to the United Nations for help. The UN organized troops from the African continent and set in motion plans for a large civilian task force to run public service, because public service had basically collapsed in Congo during that time. And of course, Lumumba wanted UN forces to expel Belgian troops, but this was rejected. And the person who was in charge of the troops which were organized under the UN from Africa was a black American, but he refused. He thought Patrice Lumumba was not sincere or kind of crazy in his own words, but he refused. When he refused, it was then that Patrice Lumumba threatened to bring in Soviet troops to bring stability to Congo. Of course, this infuriated the United States, which feared a communist takeover. Remember, this was during the Cold War, and we have discussed the Cold War in the context of our own split in the liberation movement in Zimbabwe, that the split of the liberation movement happened during the Cold War. And it was at a time when Comrade Fidel Castro had taken over power. The revolution in Cuba had happened, and the United States saw that as a threat, that they were going to have another communist takeover in Congo, something which they did not want. At a meeting of the U.S. National Security Council, President Escobar of the United States authorized the CIA to eliminate Lumumba. Now, at this point, because there was no stability in Congo, the Russian troops arrived. Different troops from different countries were now in Congo. And the American president at the time, with the advice of the CIA, agreed or authorized the assassination or elimination of Patrice Lumumba. So Patrice Lumumba was not assassinated, or the plan to assassinate him was not carried out by the people of Congo, but it was CIA. We have spoken and will continue to speak about the role of the CIA in destabilizing countries in the continent. One comrade was asking me in some discussion when he says, Comrade Mapena, what is your view on the American troops that are said to be doing drills with the South African troops in KZN? I said, Comrade, wait a moment. I will have to find out, though the statement by the South African Defence Force was then shared in the group in which this discussion was happening. But I said, comrades, wait, we'll express our view later. But the point I'm making is the imperialists, as led by United States of America through their intelligence organ CIA, was involved or carried out the plan in eliminating Patrice Lumumba with the active encouragement of the CIA and the UN officials. On 14 September, Colonel Joseph Mobutu declared himself as the new leader. He demanded the expulsion of Russian troops who had come on the side of Lumumba. The CIA continued with its plans, even though Lumumba had been removed from office, had been removed, retreated to his own province where he grew up. But the Belgium never trusted Lumumba because they thought he was going to regain power. So the only way to prevent that, because they knew that Patrice Lumumba had the support of the people of Congo, they were not content with him. Even had lost the power, forced out of power by his trusted ally, Joseph Mobutu, retreated to his home province, but the plan to assassinate him continued. So Patrice Lumumba was then assassinated on the 17th of January 1961. His body dissolved in acid. The only remain that was there, as we explained in the TikTok video, a short one which we did, was his golden tooth, which a soldier, Belgian soldier, who was part of the group that assassinated Patrice Lumumba, he took it as a souvenir to Belgium. It is this golden tooth that was then returned to Congo, buried in Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. So this is in brief what happened, or the life and times of Patrice Lumumba. Yes, it is not in detail, but we thought, because comrades had requested this, that we should give this briefing so that the comrades at least have an understanding. on who Patrice Lumumba was, his political activism, how he died. He was arrested, he was tortured by CIA, and of course with Joseph Mobutu, who was a front of the Belgium and the imperialist forces. But of course, you know, as we have always said, that imperialists are not our friends, and they'll never be our friends. They don't like us. They will use you, dump you. And of course, they dumped Mobutu Sese Seko in 1987. We will talk about that later on. But so, comrades, write your views. I know you might have questions. We might not have been clear in explaining some of the things here, but write your comments in the comment section, and we continue with this discussion. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel and circulate this video. Amandla, comrades.